Yee. Oh no! I know we're putting makeup on here, folks, but we don't want it to look too obvious. Hello everyone, it's me again on the YouTube. This week I'm going to be sharing with you my do's and don'ts for perfect makeup application. These are things I see every day on the New York City subway, in my friend group, with acquaintances, at work. Common mistakes that everyday men and women make while applying their makeup. I am here to help illuminate those errors and point you guys in the right direction. For this routine, I will be keeping this side of my face, the do side, do. And this side of my face will be the don't side. Yes? No. So, before we get started, I want to introduce everyone to Herman. This is my nose pimple. His name's Herman. Say hello to Herman. There he is. Let's get started. My first do is, without a doubt, use primers. Use a face primer, use an eye primer, use a lip primer. I don't think anyone should go about a full face of makeup without primers. They do their job. They make everything stay blended, stay pigmented, whatever you want them to do. Primers are the way to go. I will be priming this side of my face with my favorite Laura Mercier primer in Radiance. On this side of my face, I will not be using a primer. Next step is brows, and brows are a tough one for me. I'm an avid fan of the natural fluffy feathered brow trend that's happening right now, but even if you are not, this don't applies to any brow trend out there, any brow product that you may use, be it pencil, powder, or pomade. Oh my God, 3 Ps. Do have a light application when applying your brows. Use hair-like strokes and make sure the most pigmented part of your brow is at the tail. Don't go in with a heavy application, and don't make the front of your brow the strongest, heaviest part. We do not want a block of color at the front of your brow. Let me show you. For my brows today, I will be using the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil in shade 4. So here we have a lovely natural brow. I do use product in the front of my brow, but I make sure to use a very light hand and wiggle the pencil back and forth ever so slightly, and always be sure to brush it out. For the don't side, I will be using Anastasia Beverly Hills Dip Brow Pomade in the shade Dark Brown, and the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pencil, name is rubbed off. Okay, I don't think I need to explain the difference here. The shape of this brow is still nice, it's still my brow shape, but it's so heavy and dark, it doesn't look remotely natural or attractive in my eyes. This is much more beautiful, it's much more like how a natural brow grows, and this just looks so starkly obvious that I have so much brow product in my brows. No? Yes. Moving on to eyes, this is an extension of my first do, but do use an eye primer. Just like a face primer or a lip primer, you want to make sure to prime every part of your face. Today I'll be using the Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Eyeshadow Primer. Now for eyeshadow. Today I'll be using the ColourPop Yes Please eyeshadow palette. Take an eyeshadow color close to your skin tone and set the whole lid. This ensures that all of the shadows that go on top of it blend out much more seamlessly and don't get stuck to certain parts of your eyes, making them look patchy. Do use a transition shade after your setting shade. For my transition shade today, I will be using Chauffeur from the Yes Please palette. A transition shade does exactly what it says it does. It makes a seamless transition from the lighter brow bone color to whatever you put on your lid. It creates much more blendability and ease and a natural look. Look how lovely that looks. The last do for eyeshadows is if you are using a shimmer shade on your lid, you want to make sure to wet your brush with a setting spray, even water works. I'll be using a setting spray today. Dampen the brush and then go into whatever shimmer shade you'll be putting on your lid. Look at that! This really intensifies whatever shimmer shade you're using so that it's at its most pigmented and shimmery. Ay caramba. When it comes to eyeshadow, what you don't want to do is just go in with a dry lid shade and nothing else on your eyes. That will lead to a very powdery and muted application that looks unblended and unnatural. Do you see? Oh. To be clear, these are the same exact eyeshadow color. The only difference is that I have a transition shade on this side, which helps bring out the intense goldness, and I didn't wet the brush when I applied the shadow to this side of my face, making it far less pigmented and bright. Moving on to concealer. You do want to choose a shade that is closest to your natural skin color. If you're using a foundation, same goes. You want to choose a foundation that is closest to your actual skin color, not too much lighter, not too much darker. You don't want to choose a shade that's too light or too dark for your skin color, making it glaringly obvious. On the right side, I'm using my favorite Maybelline Fit Me Concealer in the shade Light. And on the left side, I am using another great concealer, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer, and this is in the shade Light Medium Beige, which is just a little too dark for my skin tone. When applying your concealer or foundation, I always recommend using a beauty blender, but it's very important to remember, dampen your beauty blender. You do not want to use a dry beauty blender. It will create a very cakey, dry effect on your face, and it might crack, and there's no beauty. Look at how flawless and seamless and dewy that looks. The dampness of the sponge will help create a more natural dewy effect on your skin, whereas the dryness here will just press the product into your skin without blending it out seamlessly. Look how much prettier that is. How sad that is. Another reason you want to use a concealer or foundation shade that's closest to your skin tone is, for a person like me who doesn't wear foundation, when I spot conceal and it doesn't match my skin tone perfectly, it looks like I have dirt all over my face. So I don't know if you can tell from there, but I used the Wet n Wild concealer to spot conceal some redness, and it's much darker than my skin tone and it just looks dirty. Next, you do want to use a setting powder. This applies to foundation or just concealer. Any wet liquid cream products that you put on your face, you want to make sure to set them with a setting powder, blotting powder, press powder, your powder of choice. Today, I'll be using the Kat Von D Lock It Blotting Powder in Light. Setting your face will also ensure that any other products you put on top, be it contour powders, blush, highlight, blends in more seamlessly and doesn't attach to any wet parts of your face. Okay, now when it comes to contour powders and blush, the name of the game is building up the pigment. We want to be sure to start off very, very light and build it up. We don't want a stripe of color across our face that looks very unnatural and very ugly. I'm using my favorite contour powder, NYX HD Blush in the shade Taupe. Look what a lovely natural contour we have going on. Now let's see what happens on the other side. Really douse that brush. No need to tap off any excess. Just go ham, baby. It just looks so dirty and muddy and gross and unnatural. Same goes with blush. Using my favorite Milani Luminoso, tapping off the excess on the natural side. You also want to make sure to focus your blush on the center of your cheekbone, not too high up and not too much on the apples of your cheeks. Very natural, building it up, just a flush of color. How lovely. Now let's see what happens over here. I'm gonna put it a lot on the apple of my cheek and not worry about building anything up. I don't think I need to say anything. Actually, this whole side of my face is really toddlers and tiaras reminiscent. And if that's the look you're going for, by all means, full steam ahead. And for one of my favorite products, highlighter, I'll be using the Ofra highlighter in You Glow Girl. This is a collaboration with Dupe That. So similarly with your blush and contour powders, you want to have a lighter hand, but also, especially with highlighters, I like to use a very precise application. I like to start with where I want the highlighter to be the most pigmented and then just blow it out ever so slightly from there. Now you have glow, you have radiance, but it's not a crazy stripe across your face. Now on this side, what we don't want is a stripe of highlighter that takes up half of your cheek. You want to be sure to highlight the highest points of your face. If we have too broad of an application with highlighter, then it's defeating the whole purpose. Ready? Yes, I'm shiny. Yes, I'm glowy, but it erased half the blush and contour we had going on, which probably a good thing on this side, but it doesn't make me look luminous and beautiful. It makes me look clownish and a little terrifying. Also, look at that. Such a harsh line there. It's just so unnatural. Not my favorite. All right, finishing off the eyes, we are going to be using some mascara here. In my opinion, always curl your lashes if you're going to be wearing mascara. This just helps lift the lashes, make them more visible, and give a more doe-eyed, fresh look. And when applying your mascara, you do want to make sure you start at the roots and wiggle the mascara all the way to the tip. You don't want to only get half of your eyelash middle of the way through the tips. This just makes your lashes look a lot shorter, a lot thinner, and a lot fewer, which I don't know anybody who wants that. Also, you don't want to go too heavy with your lower lash line mascara application. This is a surefire way to get mascara all over your lower lash line and ruin your eyeshadow. All right, and finally to the lips. For lipstick today, I will be using the collaboration with ColourPop and I Love Sarahi. This is a bright red lipstick in the shade Arriba. Now when it comes to lips, you do want to overline, in my opinion. I have a thinner lower lip, so I definitely like to overline my lips. It makes them look more plump, more voluminous, everything I want. Beautiful. Pretty. Now, when overlining your lips, you don't want to overline close to your mouth corners. You want to make sure you're overlining in the center, right at the cupid's bow and at the center part of your lower lip. If you overline near the corners of your lips, it'll make your lipstick look clownish, oversized, and sloppy. Watch. All right, so as we see over here, I'm looking a little clownish, and over here, I'm looking very natural and dewy with a beautiful amount of makeup on, in my opinion. When I first started doing the overlining lip trend, this was a pitfall I always fell into when I first started overlining my lips. Overlining your lips is where you place the lip liner, lipstick, liquid lipstick over where your natural lip line is. Now, it's a really lovely technique for those with thinner lips like mine, but you want to make sure you're doing it correctly lest you look like a clown. You want to make sure to overline at the center, especially in your cupid's bow, and then as you bring it down to the corners of your mouth, you want to align with where your actual lip line is. Same with the bottom lip. You can overline in the center, and then you want to bring it to where your natural lip line is at the corners. You want to make sure to set your face, especially if you used a lot of powders in your face routine. Setting your face just helps make everything look a little dewier and fresh and not so powdery and cakey. All right, you guys, so here we have the dew side. Very blended, very natural for having as much makeup as I do on my face. And then over here, We have a little bit of clown meets toddlers in tiara meets sweaty 3 a.m. club scene, which is a great scene, but you don't want your makeup to start that way, do ya? I know a lot of people will be looking at this side of the face and saying, I like that side better. And that is okay. If you prefer this side of the face, girl, you do you. But for the look that I try to achieve, which is a little bit more of a natural, dewy finish, this is my preferred makeup application. And if you're watching my channel, chances are this is what you would prefer as well. So I hope these lovely do's and don't tips helped you in maybe some mistakes that you were making in your everyday makeup application. Sound off in the comments below, which side of the face do you like better, the do or the don't? Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and follow me on Instagram at laurenmarienyc. I'll see you guys next week.